So the system is to test the feasibility of scaling to zero for LLM model deployed on Kubernetes for inference, right? So right now you can see there are no GPU pods running, only the CPU pod for the head node is running. This setup is with the Ray with vLLM on Azure Kubernetes cluster. There is no GPU node and there is no GPU pod at the moment. And let's see what happens when I send the request. As soon as I send the request, system takes about 10 to 15 seconds to react. And there you see the GPU pod has been created, but it doesn't have any infrastructure where it will run, right? So this screen where I am right now, it tells you about a node claims, and this is running with Karpenter. So as soon as the demand from the pod comes, it creates a demand for the node to be provisioned in Azure Kubernetes. And this is configured via the Ray service that we are using. Uh, so we are using Ray operator to deploy the vLLM model on Azure Kubernetes. And you can see that we have specified uh, all the replicas should be zero to start with. And we are also specifying the worker nodes to be zero, and that's why we didn't see any initial node on the GPU node. And here we are also specifying what type of node we need. Okay, so this is on A10. And that's why you see the claim has been made for a A10 node here. And this all is provisioned in the Karpenter provisioning YAML. And you can see the various pools that we have defined, right? So these are not the pools which are created. These are just the pools which are defined. These are created as and when the demand comes in. So for example, here the demand was for A10, hence the A10 demand was raised, which is the A10 claim. All right. It takes about 3 minutes for node to be provisioned and added to the cluster. So you see that in about 2 minutes and 50 seconds, the pod goes into the init state. So that means the node has now been provisioned. Yeah. So, and you can see the node here as well in the system, which comes from a GPU pool on the bottom screen. All right, some errors. Initial pod failed for XYZ reason. Since the pod gets deleted, I won't be able to see what happened here. But immediately, since the system will stabilize itself, it creates a new pod. And now in this case, the initialization is going to be quite fast because the image and the node both are already there in the system, right? So you can see that it comes up within about a minute or so up, right? So now the pod is running. And it took about 7 minutes for us to get the first response, right? So this is the downside of scaling to zero. If I have a node already, this wouldn't happen. But in this case, since the request was made, it took me about 7 minutes to get the first response. But the important point is never lost any request. All the responses will come back via the system, Ray on vLLM. And that's the good part of it, right? It will cache all your requests.